though means one of us wanted to ask what kind of caste you have, but we obviously it was not allowed.
You held yourself back, yeah.
But the answer that person gave was so beautiful. In their language, I don't remember that particular word, but I think Ami Kotur. Kotur is basically Manus. So we are just like big Sheikh Chilli. In Marathi, we have this story of Sheikh Chilli, na? कि ज्या फांदीवर बसलोय तीच फांदी आपण कापतोय.
The land that is degraded has a potential to go back to its natural state.
No, there is no such human beings who don't like this. Definitely everyone loves nature. So you can't achieve infinite growth, right, with finite resources. There are very few success stories as compared to the things which are going wrong.
Wow.
This
Thank you.
From us
Thank
to
you.
So cute.
Some soaps that we make, it has some fragrance bars, it has some honey. I have been using Nature Care on my farm for 3 years. The results are amazing. It is basically shenkhat, but with all the right bacterial and fungal cultures to get your soil going faster.
Wildlife cannot have alternatives, but humans can have alternatives.
In today's world, where environmental degradation is accelerating and the need for sustainable solutions has never been more urgent, there are individuals who tirelessly work towards restoring a balance. Ketaki Ghate and Manasi Karandikar are two such relentless advocates for nature, whose passion and dedication have shaped their remarkable journeys in conservation. Ketaki's deep understanding of landscape ecology, flora, and designing habitats on land, and Manasi's keen interest in fauna and implementation and management of restoration projects has been instrumental in shaping the work of Oikos. Oikos is a social enterprise that embodies their vision for a healthier, more sustainable world. Oikos draws its legacy from Ecological Society, Pune, and is dedicated to the ecological land management, restoration and biodiversity conservation. With a unique holistic approach, Oikos crafts site-specific sustainable solutions that integrate community involvement and scientific expertise to address today's environmental challenges. We are super excited to take you into this wide-ranging conversation with Ketaki and Manasi, who are the guests of our next podcast. Manasi, Ketaki.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I've been following your work for years, ever since I became a part of Ecological Society. And you have been my teachers, mentors, guides, and now friends. It's a beautiful relationship. So thank you for taking the time out. And I think the best place to start would be exactly where we are sitting. For the viewers who cannot see this beautiful place, it looks like we are sitting under the canopy of a forest, right?
It is.
It is, right? It feels cooler. It feels more comfortable. We feel more relaxed. And it feels like not just us, but a lot of other living things are happier. Somehow, there's, and we will get into the science of it, and I know a lot of other living things are happier. But I can see bananas, I can see a nirgudi, I can see kadi patta, I can see bamboo doing very well. The floor is mulched, looks exactly like a forest floor. But Manasi, this is your farmhouse.
So we do this for a living, but I think for the interest of everyone's knowledge, Ketaki, can you talk about why is this place designed the way it is designed, and why does it feel so natural? And so it feels almost like a Devrai. It's getting there,
It's
but
getting
it
there.
feels like that. So what have you done exactly?
Yeah, so here the idea was just to convert this, earlier this was a barren patch, so this barren patch or a open patch into some kind of forest.
Unbelievable. This was
Yeah.
barren?
Yeah, this was open, yeah. There was, so the kind of shade that you see, it was not there. And so when we
How
bought
long
this,
back was this?
this was almost
2007?
7.
So
When we bought the
17,
plot, yeah.
25, almost 17, 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
So that time it was open, just few teak trees were there,
Right.
sag,
Right.
and there was no diversity. So the
Obviously.
idea was that how can we green this place, but not conventionally green, but then we thought of greening it in little different way. And the core of behind this developing this place to offer some habitat for non-human beings. And I think we are doing enough of things for
For
human
ourselves.
beings. So I think high time we need to do certain things for non-human beings. And yeah, so idea was to shape a farmhouse. So this is a farmhouse. Ultimately, this is for human beings. This is for us. But at the same time, can we think about non-human beings and can we create certain spaces for them? So as you are rightly identifying the species, like there are enough native species which are common, and also there are certain rare species, and this is just a half-acre plot. So in that we have like planned to have all the species whatever are there in this region. So right now regionally for viewers, we are there in the catchment of Khadakwasla Dam, which is towards west side of Pune. And looking at the rainfall here and looking at the climate, it should support some kind of mixed deciduous forest. So we thought, why not to restore that earlier forest here and also add certain species which could be useful for human beings as well as for non-human beings, you know. So that's how we planted this, and that's how you see there are certain rare species like Canarium strictum at our back. There is this dhoop, you know, which we burn.
Which is very rare.
Yeah, which is very rare.
Yeah.
So we planted few rare species from little high rainfall as well, just for the sake of conservation. So it's not a dense plantation of that species, but just individually, one individual each. And then there are certain common species like this kutaj, kuda. I love the scientific name because it actually tells you the medicinal use of that species.
Right.
And the scientific name is Holarina antidysentrica. You know, so I did not
So
tell you.
anti-dysentery.
Antidysentric properties it has got. So there are certain medicinal species, there are very rare species like Pittosporum, there are enough food plants and larval host plants for
the
butterflies and
butterflies.
birds. Like you can see few ficus species are there. Like wild fig species are there which offer enough food for birds. Birds just love figs, wild figs, umber,
yeah.
people, banyan, all these are there. And of course, there are blooming, flowering species are there like palash and coral tree, taman. Yeah, so this one little acre is full of native species which are offering good habitat. And as you can see, means we are getting there. Means we've just started few years back, and it's going to definitely in another 50 years this would be something like a very old growth forest, and that's what our aspiration is, you know.
Certainly.
That is amazing. I will come to the point of how you got this started. But there's another interesting thing that I see behind me is a very small but very cute bamboo house that seems to be just right for me, at least, because on our farm in Neelan Momo,
Yeah.
we live in 450 square foot of space, me and Brunmai, and we follow the same ethos. But what was your thinking while building something like this?
Yeah, so that was something like some 15 years back we built this bamboo house. So when we started thinking about this is our farm house area and we want to build something here. So I just started a discussion in my family that for what we are going to build it,
Why are we doing this?
why we are doing it. So is it for like, are we shifting there or are we going there for weekends or something like that? And if we are going there for weekends, we are not shifting there or we are not staying there for more than 2 days at a stretch, then we should not go there and start sweeping the house. So that was the comfort for me basically.
Right.
It's like a self-contained small cottage. That's it, one room. And it's about 350 square feet. That's it.
Perfect.
But there is something deeper to this because coming from this background of being like ecological planning and all those things and seeing what is happening to our hills around. So once that trend of farmhouses and developments and all those things, creating infrastructure in the hills started, which is for finding some solace in nature.
Right.
So but during that process, what are we doing to the hills? So we are changing the hills, we are changing topography, we are creating more roads, more concrete footprints in that area, in that process of getting closer to nature, going away from cities.
You're taking the cities into nature.
Exactly. So if we see all the bungalows which are being considered as farmhouses, then they have AC, they have fans, they have concrete structures, they have RCC, what not, the paints, all the normal paints that we use. So we wanted categorically to have something which is more nature friendly. But there could be some other options also, like there could be something which is built with bamboo. Like here in our house, we have few things which are integrated, like the plinth, which is very small. So the footprint is small, but the material we have used is stone and some cement in that. Because when we started at that time, there was hardly anyone who was working in lime.
That's right.
So we used cement, few bricks, and then the entire structure was built in bamboo because bamboo is a renewable material. So as you can see, there is bamboo which is planted here already. So what we can do eventually is we can use this bamboo. If we want to renovate this, we can actually use this bamboo, so which is grown on this land.
Correct.
So we are not increasing our footprint of materials, resources, which is a very local renewable material. When we think about end of life, so what will happen when this structure if it disintegrates?
Correct.
What will
How
happen to
quickly
that?
does it go back into earth?
So maybe the plinth will stay, but all the structure
Everything
which
else
is
will
above,
dissolve.
it will go into the ground. Believe me, it gives you a different feeling than staying in a concrete house.
Absolutely.
And as you were saying, maybe it was also about design, right? Means even that keeps on evolving.
Absolutely.
Like here, maybe we have used cement and bricks to a certain extent. We have tried to reduce it. So that's what we always feel. Maybe instead of completely going back in a reverse direction, maybe that would be difficult for few people.
Do a transition. Do a transition. So I'm so happy to see this cute little house behind. Now my question goes a little ahead. Is why is not everyone living like this? Like, why isn't everyone doing this? Clearly, there is some incentive to go in the other direction, right? It's like me saying that a plant, so for example, every living thing has two things in its DNA, okay? It has procreation and it has survival, okay? If you give a tree a chance to get sunlight, it will go up and catch sunlight, okay? But we seem to be the only intelligent species that goes away from sunlight into something that is actually detrimental to our own health. Why is this happening? Do you think it's an information issue? Do you think it's a knowledge issue? Why is it so difficult to convince people to make the right choice? I leave it up to any one of you to take this.
So before going to that, I think like we have always been like shelter is our need, firstly.
Right.
Because as humans, we are not equipped like animals to be in nature all the time for 24 hours.
Fully exposed.
We're social animals.
Social animals, and we can't like just be on the tree
We are
for night.
delicate.
We are Homo.
exactly. So that goes back to even like earlier days when
Right.
the humans were cave dwelling.
Right.
So it was always some shelter seeking behavior. But what brings us from caves to the high risers? It's something very interesting that we should
Let's get
talk
into
about.
it.
So that's
Why?
something, means how that got shaped. So if you look at the evolution of human beings, means probably, I don't know if we have that much time, we might
We have
just
all the
spend
time in the world. Go for it. Go for it.
the viewers who really wish to understand how this journey has been. I think the best book is Sapiens.
Absolutely.
Like so in this evolutionary history of for human beings, there have been this like clear 4 stages. Earlier we were hunter gatherers, you know, just roam around in the forest very freely, live in some cave or on branches, you know, and just gather and hunt, and sustenance was
Right.
just through the hunting and gathering. Then that kind of lifestyle was there for almost
Couple of million years easy.
yeah, so
Lakhs of years.
definitely more than around 20 to 25 lakhs
Lakh
people
years.
say.
Correct.
So we were in that stage. And then slowly we became pastoralists. You know,
Right.
when human beings realize that you can maybe probably just
Grow wheat.
grow first cattle, not
Right.
cattle, but just
Some
tame
animals.
certain wild
Yeah.
animals
Yeah.
and, you know, make them stay
Domesticate
around
them.
you, domesticate them, and the domestication even became popular that way recently. But earlier they were just staying around the wild animals, somehow could win over them, and then hunting was easier. Then they realized that, oh, now the next stage, agriculturist.
This is
human
10,000
being.
years.
Yeah, this is like very recent that way.
Yeah.
10,000 years ago, that maybe they realized that you can grow your own crops. And while this was happening, so aspirations also were getting shaped in a certain way. What kind of aspirations a hunter-gatherer must be shaping, you know? So probably they must be saying that, oh, I've got a very beautiful blue feather. And I can give it to you, Swapnil, if you give me that stone that you have, which is sparkling stone. You know, so that kind of exchange was happening probably.
Yeah, 100%.
And then that got shaped during pastoralism in a different degree. Then once human beings started doing agriculture, then to things change quite a bit, right? And then now you have grain, and which you need to store. Right? So that has become the asset. And the moment you have assets with you,
Stress starts.
yeah, stress starts. I think everyone here can understand that. That the moment you have wealth, you have any asset, you become very possessive about it.
Correct. And protective about it.
And protective about it, and you don't wish to lose that.
Right.
And so the history got completely, shaped
Changed.
completely differently. And then you don't have any choice but to build some kind of shelter which is very solid for your grains. And then if the grain shelter is at one place, you don't have any choice but to settle just next to it.
Exactly.
So sedentary lifestyle, otherwise, come the roots for that particular lifestyle, I think,
It's
goes
back there.
Yeah, and then ultimately the modern human beings means what we are right now are like Homo sapiens, and we always say that we have named ourselves as wise species, but not sure if we are behaving so. Yeah, self-proclaimed. But of course, means if you look at the brain size and everything.
No, I think few people are becoming more wiser, as the name suggests.
You look at ecology, you look at ecosystems, the way other species behave and the way we are behaving in very little time. So if you look at this time scale, that's one of my favorite topic, that if you look at 450 crores of years, and we've come on this earth just few lakhs.
For a second, yeah.
And maybe just few thousand years back, if you look at Homo sapiens, who are like modern human beings who are wearing clothes and, the kind of economy that we have shaped, or the fictional stories that we've shaped, without which we won't be able to be happy. Means this is the last thing I think any species would do to herself, is behave in such an fiction.
Self-destructive.
Yeah, which is quite self-ruining that way for the race, as a human race.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we have come so far from the natural instinct and so-called whatever artificial in the thing that we've built for ourselves, And that's why coming back to the shelter thing. So as I said, maybe aspirations are there. Even today we see hunter-gatherers or pastoralists or agriculturists are there even today in the world. So, but aspiration is common. So right now we can hear this Tickell's blue flycatcher. I'm not sure that your cameras and sounds are able to capture this, but this is a very
Beautiful bird.
indicator bird, and it's a flycatcher. So ultimately we are ruining habitats for these kind of, we people who are sitting here and we're loving this kind of environment. There are enough people who don't wish to live this kind of lifestyle.
Of course.
There are enough people who wish to be in the mall and, have lawns in the farmhouses and, have very lavish houses. And why not, they say? Definitely I want the same city amenities here. And they have a completely different view to live a comfortable lifestyle. For us sitting here, this is quite comfortable, right? As you said, the temperatures are so nice, you don't need air conditioning.
It's luxury.
Yeah, but at the same time, if we can see that there are people who are absolutely on opposite end, and in between this black and white, there are many shades of grey. And that's the, I think, what you can say, that's the characteristics of with human beings.
That's the music of human beings.
There is no two human beings are similar.
Yeah.
And that's how we see this particular. Your question was that why then, if we are able to live so simply, then why we have deviated from
So
being so
far away
simple
from
and why we've gone so far away? Just because the way I think we are different.
I think it's a beautiful point to get into the concept of identity. Okay. How do we identify ourselves, right? Am I Swapnil? Are you Ketki? Are you Mansi? Or are we all one species? Or are we all one ecosphere and biosphere? And how do I identify myself, right? Now, this came to us through some kind of formal education and whatever. But at least as far as I remember, I wasn't given any conscious education on, hey, listen, this tree is also you, or this soil is also you, or this insect is also you. I was never consciously told about this. I guess at some point in everyone's life, there comes a time when you have some kind of a realization that this all is connected on an experiential level, forget intellectual level. At least if that comes, we'll be able to solve this problem of conservation. Maybe we won't need conservation.
Exactly.
Marathi has a beautiful word for it. It's called sanskar, right? So how do you bring this culture of environmentalism or eco-inclusiveness to become a part of your identity? Have you tried any experiments? So for example, on our farm, we take a lot of workshops, a lot of children have come. And I personally find it very difficult for an outsider to get inside a child's head and make any transformation there. It has to come from the parent. I mean, I'm convinced. Parent, near family, aji, azoba, grandparents, whatever. But it has to happen at home, right? What are your thoughts on this? How do we make this as part of human identity, conservation? If that happens, I think we'll solve the problem.
I'm really remembering that we were doing this survey for documenting the traditional wisdom that we have in Maharashtra. It was a wonderful 1 year that we spent in entire Maharashtra. We would go in all tribal areas, stay with these tribes,
Amazing.
in their vadas. It was a wonderful time that we had. And that time we were talking to we had went to one absolutely remote village. We had to walk for almost 1.5 hours. And they say, the NGO who they were helping us, they said that these people just came out of hunting gathering stage very recently, just some 20 years back or so. So till recently they were into that stage. So obviously, so the first women we saw, the very old lady, she was not really wearing very, clothes. Just one thing that she has tied to here, vest, and few ornaments. That's it.
Yeah.
And of course, her grandchildren were wearing t-shirts and shorts and all these things.
Yeah.
So in that village, we were talking to a few people, and so someone from our team asks that what kind of, how do you identify yourself? Means though means one of us wanted to ask what kind of caste you have, but we obviously it
You
was not allowed.
held yourself back, yeah.
But the answer that person gave was so beautiful in their language. I don't remember that particular word, but I think Ami Kotur. Kotur is basically manus. म्हणजे तू कोण आहे तर मी माणूस आहे. That's it.
Amazing.
That's what we believe in. That we are we're nothing, but we are just human beings. We are just one species on the earth. We really need to identify ourselves where we are. And if we identify ourselves as one of the species on earth, not as a supreme species who's sitting over all the species, you know, we are just subset of nature, right? So we are trying to supersede nature and the natural ecosystem, and that's how we are inviting problems for ourselves. So I think even before going into just maybe craft certain solutions, we also need to craft our minds in a certain way.
100%.
And learn our identity. Means I even don't wish to go towards spiritual side right now. Means, of course, getting there is also beneficial. But even just rationally understand that what we've done to our earth, and it is inviting problems for ourselves.
Right.
You know, so we are just like big Sheikh Chilli. In Marathi, we have this story of Sheikh Chilli, na? Ki ja फांदीवर बसलोय तीच फांदी आपण कापतोय. So the point here is, how do we identify ourselves? Is if we could be just subset of nature, if we identify ourselves as a subset of nature, which we are, but somehow the narrative that was being set, and let's accept it, it got set for some obvious genuine reasons, and we have come so far. But can we now look at our future a little more meaningfully? And can we just try and create a world wherein we are achieving whatever we wish to achieve, along with the other non-human beings, which we have neglected so far. And while we were doing that, we are also degrading our own resource base. So while we are gaining comforts for ourselves, it's not that all our future generations are going to maybe enjoy the same comforts. If you look at the resource base, if you look at the air we breathe, if you look at the water we are polluting, so our future generations may not be able to enjoy the same comforts or same luxury or same wealth or the same assets. So if at all we wish to, if we want them to avail the same thing, we don't have any choice but to think about nature, but to think about natural resources. And I'm sure even means all of us, even you, means we haven't seen any human beings who say, no, I hate nature and I don't like nature.
Yeah.
And no, there is no such human beings who don't like this. Definitely everyone loves nature, but the connection somewhere is lost. Means while we are racing towards our own progress and development, we have lost that connection, and we are forgetting that this consumption and consumerism, increasing consumerism, is really detrimental to our own growth. So you can't achieve infinite growth, right, with finite resources.
Seemingly, but the technologies seem to believe that you can achieve infinite growth and that it's not a zero-sum game. I have a few observations on this subject because we've been thinking very deeply on this. I think there are two things. One is this whole concept of capitalism and the design of money. So if you are sitting in a beautiful natural forest, drinking stream water and eating food from the trees, who's making money? No one, right? So I think the genesis of this narrative was for capitalists to disconnect us from the natural world, put us into a complete simulation that is completely manufactured by them and can only be provided by them, just so that a lot of people could make a lot of money. Number one. Number two, they did this under the pretext of safety and longevity, right? So why? So I think to the contrary, when you ask people what do you think about nature, most people are scared of nature. Unfortunately, in my opinion, they are scared of the jungle.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you ask someone to walk into the jungle on a moonlit night and to see the stars, they freeze. They can't do it. On my farm, I've had this experience. So this very nature that ecologists like us love so much has a scary side of it, which has been highlighted unfortunately. And to protect us from nature, we go into cities to lead more stable, more secure, more predictable lives. And because of that, what is happening is, again contrary to your point, that you take a little kid today and you put that kid in this place that we are sitting right here. The first thing that the kid will say is chi. Okay, and they will ask for a sanitizer. So this obsession with sanitization, this obsession with our fundamental right and wrongs have been shifted. I think they have been deliberately shifted. I have no qualms saying it out loud. And I think people who want to manufacture, make long supply chains, make lots of money, and the concentration of profit is the sole reason why we are losing our ecosphere right now. Okay. Second, if a child is born so disconnected from nature, how do you expect the child to appreciate it?
Exactly.
If a child has never seen a mango on a tree, they have always seen cut pineapples in plastic boxes in a supermarket.
They won't understand.
We are, I think, at a way more dangerous point, in my opinion, where we have completely disconnected ourselves from nature. We are in a complete simulation. That simulation is running obviously on natural resources. Because this is the only real resource we have other than sun. And harvesting sun is very difficult. We've learned that together. So how do we solve? Again, coming back to the problem of what you were saying is we must understand that we are a subset of nature. This is our prefrontal cortex, right? Our neocortex, which is recently developed in the last whatever lakh years. But our animal brain, our limbic system, has been since hunter-gatherer days. And my belief is when reality strikes, your animal brain always supersedes your executive brain. It reacts, and no matter what your education and what all these things are, you know, I always question, like, why do people kill vipers in villages? Like in my village, if you see a snake, the first instinct is kill it, right? And why do you do it? In spite of so many presentations, Varnva, forest fires, there are obvious results of not doing a forest fire, not killing a snake and stuff like that. But we go ahead and kill it. So I think our need for self-preservation, which was in the original Homo sapien all those years ago, still supersedes anything else that we can learn. So my point is, how do you ingrain it so deeply into someone that their first instinct is to conserve and not destroy? So that is a big puzzle that I have been, because you can read a book, you can have sessions, you can do a course, you can do all these things. But when it comes time to act, really act, and if you don't have much choice, will you go for comfort or will you go for natural conservation? Is the real question
So
that I have.
So I think there are 2-3 sides about this entire conversation. One is safety, security.
Right.
One is taking control over something, modifying it, and making it like comfortable to me. So that is what we are doing right now. No? We are keeping ourselves safe. We are changing the surrounding to suit our requirements, to suit our needs, and then having that control to over resources so that I can keep on consuming it, or I can keep on operating in that comfort zone. So these things are happening right now. And when you said that like we are maybe afraid of going out, because that's because it's unfamiliar to me. If I am familiar to my garden where I everyday walk, then I am not afraid of it.
Correct.
But why I am afraid of going into a forest is because that's unfamiliar. That's the point where we must act upon, ki making people familiar with this surrounding. And like making from childhood, if a child or if a kid is very at comfort with surrounding, with forests, then it won't be afraid of it. So I think that sense of safety and comfort, if we can bring in through maybe few things
Controlled
like
exposure.
and that can happen at any age, not just at kids'
I
age.
agree.
And I think we also need to talk about all these things little more very clearly. I mean, say for example, the example that you've given, that back in villages or anywhere, people tend to kill the snakes. Yeah. So earlier, I think there was time when there was like zero medical aid. And of course, there has been like many orthodox traditions, n number of things were there, because human beings are changing very fast. So that's how that kind of habit
Behavior has been set.
and that fear is very strong. Fear in any case means anyone here means the fear is the most bad thing. Means my brother is a doctor and he always used to say that in Corona, the first thing that you should remember, that if at all you get that virus, the first thing is don't get afraid of it. Because people who got afraid of anything, once they develop fear, there are very few things that can save you.
Yeah.
So the fear is there. So how can we get rid of fear? So how do we really convince people not to fear of anything? Because the kind of safety and security that we have as compared to past is much better.
100%.
100%.
This is the recipe. You need a good leader
Yeah.
and you need results in some way.
In results in certain way. And but also that's very tricky, huh? We have enough examples. Means you have a good leader, you have a success stories, but still then
It's not
community is not
repeating.
going in that direction. Means there are some such kind of examples as well. Means why then? Means there are very few success stories as compared to the things which are going wrong. You have success stories of conservation. You have success stories how villagers are shaping their economy and using up their resources, but they are very few.
Exactly.
Means the
popular
rate
drift
at which replication should happen
is not
it
happening.
It's not happening.
So, and again, the cause is rooted in the feelings and emotions and the belief system that we have, and also, as you said, sanskar, the way the kind of means संस्कार तुम्हाला कुठून येतात तर एज्युकेशन सिस्टीम मधून, तुमच्या फॅमिली मधून, exposure that you have. So if all these things align ultimately towards nature, then only there are chances that we see some
My God.
better future.
Some
right?
monumental task.
It's not that easy. Of course, it is very complex.
Once someone realizes or has that point of realization that we are completely dependent on nature, what can one do very simply without broadly disrupting their life per se?
So I think first point that anyone should do is maybe look at your consumerism little cautiously. So how you are living. Because whatever we consume today, whatever we are doing today, so my each and every activity is doing something at large on nature. It is impacting nature. So if it is a positive act, then it will impact positively. If it is like just consuming, just I am harvesting, I am using, then that is impacting negatively. Because as cities, we are almost like parasites.
Yeah.
We are consuming resources from far away. I am drawing water from some 100 kilometers away. I am not using a local resource. So that resource consumption, if it reduces by a bit, because
Collectively huge.
yeah, huge numbers. So if I reduce my use, like every person reduces his use by say one single plastic bag, then just imagine how many plastic bags would be conserved.
Absolutely.
So that's something as a collective thing we can do, and it's fun to do that because we are doing something very positively for nature. So like from doing something like this, which I can do from my home, to going out, helping NGOs, working on land, doing work with soil, planting trees. So there could be then 100 different avenues to do it.
Right.
Maybe around you.
And
So conscious consumerism
and
is...
just to add to this, maybe there is this rudimentary way to just inculcate this in our day-to-day lifestyle is just follow certain R's. So there are 5 R's are there that we usually talk. So the first R is reduce. So we absolutely each of us understand, as we talked, that each human being is at a different level, right? And all human beings collectively, be it tribal, rural or urban, at different levels we are changing
Consuming.
Nature differently.
Right.
So everyone needs to do things differently.
Right.
So reduce is the first thing. So probably I think every human being, if reduce the our needs by a certain percentage, and everyone can have his or her own threshold, let me tell you.
Right.
It's very difficult to define that.
Yeah.
Because everyone is different, everyone is educated in a different way, everyone is living in completely different
Their
worlds.
backgrounds are completely
Backgrounds are
different.
completely
Even cultural
different.
patterns are different, and like there may be like income wise,
Yeah.
lifestyle wise,
Absolutely.
everything is
So
different.
say for example,
Absolutely.
reduction for me, if I'm reducing certain things, could be absolutely going to be a privilege for
Yeah.
some other person who's
Some
living in
Rathod
a...
who gets drinking water once in
Yeah,
10
yeah,
days.
yeah.
For them, your use of
Yeah,
70 liters of water a day is like...
Something, yeah, he
Yes,
can't
so
imagine.
this
can't
is that
even imagine.
cautiousness. So even if we are talking about this 4 hours, the first reduce might hit differently to different people. So
Absolutely.
like I come from Chalisgaon. So when I started working in this particular field back in Chalisgaon, I used to talk about this, no, save water and plant trees and save nature. So for back there, it was so out of context because Chalisgaon anyways that time was getting water just twice a month. Then how do I teach them that you need to
Save
save
water.
water? Or say even before reduce, we have started saying refuse. The first start should be refuse. Just refuse. Whatever you wish to just buy, do any activities, can you just refuse maximum thing?
So one
Products.
small tip going for refuse, I have the 5-second rule. So whenever you get an impulse to buy something, pause
Pause.
as a habit. Just pause. So this breaks the impulse.
Yeah,
Count for
break
5
the-
seconds
yes.
and ask yourself, do I really need this?
This.
Perfect.
And 90% of the times you will realize that that is something you just don't need. Right?
And many times it's very weird. Means the way I think we've shaped our psyche, means people feel happy about it. Means when they shop, when they buy, and because they have believed in this particular thought so much that if I buy, I feel happy, and if I don't buy, I don't feel happy.
Yeah.
So that's something that cautiousness is all about.
Yeah.
That you find your really happiness which is really real. But that's why the rudimentary way to just reduce your lifestyle or to look at it in this way: refuse, reduce, then reuse. Can you just keep on reusing
Right.
things? So now people say that they don't buy refills. I haven't seen any of the kid in our house who buy refills and in their pens.
It's such a pity.
You know, they don't use inks. They
Yeah.
just throw off the pens and keep on using the new
Buying
pens.
new pens.
So there are n number of things in our day-to-day life.
In US, they are throwing away fridges.
Oh, yeah.
They're throwing refrigerators and
Yeah,
televisions.
it's a completely different scale.
If it just goes bad, they don't bother calling someone because calling someone and repairing it
Yeah.
costs half of buying a new thing.
Buying a new.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper for them to throw it.
Yeah, and that's why I think creating awareness is definitely like a mandatory that it's not about money. Means for me, it's not about pen. I am able to afford new pen. It's not about that. It's about saving resources. It's
Right.
something that we need to pass on to people and to the next generation. That even if you are able to buy it, the kind of psyche that even a shopkeeper has.
Absolutely.
अरे मैडम ये क्यों ले रहे हो रिफिल, ये तो 5 रुपए में तो पेन मिलता है, तो रिफिल क्यों लेनी है 3 रुपए की? So definitely, even if the refill is maybe probably little expensive, even then I should buy it.
Yes.
Yeah, so
वो
that's
नए का कुछ होता है ना कि
हाँ,
नया
yeah.
मिला है तो
It's a dopamine hit. So it's a
Exactly.
circuit. But the converse of it is so dangerous that I'm unhappy if I'm not buying. That is the dangerous bit.
yes. So
It's okay to be happy when you buy something. That is why Diwali was Diwali, right?
Diwali
Like
was
people went and spent felt happy.
But yes, yeah. And again, in the context for, because you're talking about Diwali, everything is changed. Means earlier, people would buy only in Diwali, not rest of the days.
Exactly
but now,
what I'm saying.
in cities,
Every
we
day is
buy every
Diwali.
day. For us, Diwali is like every day. That's why it's very difficult for us, for city people who are privileged, to relate to just those Diwali 4 days. We eat chiwda, we eat laddu, and we eat chakli almost all throughout the year. So earlier, Diwali was completely different. So I think probably means we say no, we need to evolve certain things differently. How we celebrate our festivities is also something that we really need to thought of
Question, yeah.
collectively and maybe go in a
Reimagine.
different way. So anyway, so reuse that way is a very important thing. Then recycle. So if you have reused one particular product many times, then by the end of its life cycle, probably give it to recycling and get it upcycled, probably make it into something new, again keep on using it, or give it to appropriate industry who recycles it.
Correctly.
Yeah. And then the last thing, that keep all these things definitely aside, that you change lifestyle to a certain extent and do some kind of land conservation work. You know.
So now when it comes to restore, so it is restore and conserve. So because now we have like consumed so many things around us and the lands are in like very much degraded stage. So unless we conserve whatever is available and restore whatever is in degraded stage, so that's the thing that people can start doing very positively for nature.
Absolutely, and it's such a joyful activity.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Planting, getting your hands in soil, watering, taking care of something, it really makes you feel human.
Yes.
And I think we should really connect people
And
back.
that gives you a sense of happiness also.
Exactly.
Otherwise from shopping, so this is a better sense of happiness
Better
when
way
you
to
are
get your dopamine.
exactly.
Yeah.
When you are doing something for nature very positively on ground, on land, and you can see the result maybe next year, in 5 years, in 10 years. So that builds up your patience also, that I don't want something. So people are like
Everything needs to be instant now. Yeah.
So people ask us, ki, now I am planting a tree, so give me some fast growing tree, give me a very large
Fatafat
sapling.
fruit.
So next year I want the fruits. But no, let that plant build its own resilience. Then only it will give you something which is extra for it.
How do we do this?
So that's building up patience in the
So that
minds of
can happen
people.
only through, means whoever are grown-ups, it's very difficult to convince all of them. Definitely you can convince few of them.
Right.
But this kind of patience can be taken to kids.
Absolutely.
Means once they plant something and once they see there is some kind of speed for its growth, and once they themselves experience that, once they, like we always talk about our first project. 22 years back, we planted certain butterfly host plant on a half-acre plot. And we planted this larval host plant and food plant for butterflies. And went there after monsoon, and we could see that each of that shrub was having 20-30 butterflies over each. So it was such a joy.
Yeah.
Just watching that you have planted it, and now you are attracting certain biodiversity to it. And the place all of a sudden is quite lively, you know. So means there is no human being who doesn't want this, right? Means there is a greenery, there is it's very soothing to your eyes. It's aesthetically quite pleasing. At the same time, you are providing something to other non-human beings. So this is quite a win-win situation, right?
Yeah.
That you are gaining pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. Human beings are very selfish. We are selfish. Why we are sitting here? Because we are entertaining
That's
ourselves.
the only thing I want to talk about, honestly.
We are happy, right? Sitting here, conversing.
Right.
So ultimately, everything boils down to your happiness. So can you just let kids experience that happiness? So that's how this new stream of education is coming up. Experiential learning, constructivism, wherein you let kids experience nature. So once you do that, they anyways would respect nature. They would understand the speed of nature. They would understand growth within that. So they probably may not demand completely bizarre and crazy things which is going to degrade nature. But the education system has been completely different. You know? So that's why we have come so far from the happiness and health. You know.
Right.
So for us, health is like after disease thing, no? Means
Yeah, it's not the baseline. The
so
baseline is
you
not
get
healthy.
disease, and then you cure it is something we are proud of.
Correct.
You're not proud of being healthy.
Right.
So can you just avoid diseases is something that we need to look at. But we are just being proud of maybe having more and more medical facilities in the cities. But actually, if you look at it, it's an indicator of poor health of the city.
Absolutely.
So then ultimately coming down to happiness and health for human being, that is well-being of the human being.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's what we need to care, or that's what we need to shape ultimately.
It's a huge definition exercise, and I think we need to all get our heads together
Yeah.
and do this properly. So, one way is for someone to strive to change the world around them for human well-being. I think what we can do as practitioners of this craft is we can start changing land at mass so that human well-being naturally translates into it. Right? So the last R is something that's very interesting to all of us. And for those people who don't know anything about restoration or nature conservation, let's get into the devil is always in the details. So if you guys could break down what restoration means, where to start, what are the big strokes? I'm sure every site is different, every climate is different, everything is different. But I know there are 2 to 3 fundamental things that you need to look at, and you know that you're on the right path, right? So where do you start? What are your markers? And exactly how can this be done by someone who has no experience in this field?
Right. So our most favorite topic about restoration and conservation.
Yeah.
So what we feel is that always whatever is existing right now, we need to conserve that first. So it's not like since we can restore, we can keep on degrading.
Right.
So we have to first say conserve. So we have very few patches of maybe sacred groves, maybe some good patches that are really good in terms of ecosystem wealth. So that we need to conserve first. Then coming to the degraded lands which are all around us. So whenever we travel outside cities or maybe on highways, whatever we see around are all degraded parcels of land. And we always feel whenever we see around, that's the potential that we have.
Absolutely.
So the land that is degraded has a potential to go back to its natural stage, and that's restoration. So whatever is degraded right now, it has come from a particular path. Maybe there could be 10 different reasons for that land to land into that degraded area. But going back with restoration is also one of the ways, I would say, to get that lost richness of that land. So whatever was there, maybe it is a wetland or a forest or a savanna ecosystem or a mountain slope which had some good patches of grasslands or maybe shrubs. So whatever it was, we should go back to it so that we get that resource to a healthy state. So we can't go back to something which was there earlier, not to the same species maybe, because first we don't know what was there because we haven't documented it.
We didn't travel through time,
Exactly.
so we don't know. Yeah.
And secondly, we can't restore the same conditions.
Right.
So we can't restore that same plant on that same location. But we can, of course, restore something which is very
Close
rich in resources. So what we are saying is that you restore to something which is near original, to the climatic climax that area had. And it's not just for the nature.
For those of us who are not ecologists, what is climatic
So climatic climax is something
in a small definition.
Right.
Yeah.
So climatic climax is what if we are not intervening, we as humans, if we are not intervening on that land, what will happen to that land after say 100 years?
Right.
Or what was there some years back when human intervention was not there.
Correct.
So for this area, for example, it could be a dry deciduous to moist deciduous forest.
Right.
So that is the climatic climax regionally defined.
And just to add to this, means many times people say then how many years you really go back to understand this. So then we can say that if you protect any area right now, where it would go naturally without any human interference is the mature stage at a given area. So if you protect and keep off any area of humans, inviolated of humans, then where it goes is the mature stage.
Right.
Because no one is intervening.
Right.
So that is called as climatic climax.
Done.
And when we restore that, there are some other services that we get from it. So it's not that it is not useful for humans. So we get many services, many products from that restored area,
Right.
and which is important in today's discussion. Like we have been discussing so many things.
Right.
So when we have healthy nature around us, so whatever services, indirect or direct, that we get from it will be very helpful for us also.
Let's quickly name a few. What are these services?
Like we can get pure air.
Clean oxygen, rich
Exactly.
air. Yeah.
Then microclimate, like we are sitting here at this point in time.
At
when
2 o'clock in the
2 o'clock
afternoon,
in the
and we are
afternoon,
absolutely
we are
comfortable.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's something which this surrounding is giving us.
Right.
Imagine if these trees were not there, we wouldn't have sit here
Impossible.
like this.
Yeah.
So that's the service that these areas is offering.
Absolutely.
Then some other service could be recharge of water. Pollination is a good service because if the areas are devoid of pollinators, our agriculture system won't work. So we are constantly dependent on all these areas around us. And if we have them in a very healthy state, then we would be also in a healthy state.
Absolutely.
As community, as individual, as a human being. So that is why restoration is must, we can say. And then what would be the path for that?
Just before you go on, I have a beautiful point that I want to make here. Is most people think trees grow because it rains, but I have the other opinion. It rains because trees
Certainly.
trees
So
are there.
it's like
So,
codependence.
Yeah, so you have to flip the script and you have to understand that health is directly related to the health of the ecosystem.
Exactly.
Continue, please. Yeah.
So then what are different paths to this restoration?
Right.
So there could be different land parcel. Now coming to the practicality of restoration, so there could be different land parcels. Like this land it is half acre. So what we are doing here is maybe 3/4 of the land is already on the path of having that original kind of moist deciduous forest. Then if the land is on a landscape scale, say if we are fortunate, we have like thousands of acres. So like imagine a catchment of a river which has thousands of acres. If we start restoring that and if it gets restored to that level, then imagine a very clean river.
Wow.
Okay. So there could be some different scales like this. Then there could be different approaches to it. Like one approach could be, there could be something for humans, something for non-humans. One approach could be it is just for the non-humans, like the restoration projects that we have, which are maybe on say 25 acres, 60 acres, where we are doing nothing for humans directly, but it is just for the non-human beings that are there, that are present there. So it's like restoring that area for the forest that it had. Nothing, no construction, nothing on that path. So, but what the techniques are is first you give protection to it. So protection from say fire, protection from grazing animals, the cattle, sheep, goats, all those things, protection from wood cutting. So for first few initial years, if we do this, then that area starts restoring on its own. So then there will be a higher fertility of soil, there will be more moisture in the ground, there will be more diversity. Overall, the regenerative capacity of that land will increase, and that will bring in more diversity to the land.
Right.
Through maybe flows, through the birds that come in, through the wind that brings in seed, and that brings in the regenerative capacity. And then once that land is set on a particular path, then that's unending. Like you need to protect it for more years and it will start flourishing more.
Right.
So then after say 100 years or 200, see, we are talking about not in 2 years or 5 years,
it's a
but
big time scale.
and that builds in automatically some patience to the people.
But it also
because-
depends on where you start. Means
Yeah.
maybe there could be certain
What
lands which
stage?
are already in a better
exactly.
stage.
Yeah.
So,
So you
very
can-
degraded
yeah.
land will take more years, and
so
some
it's
land
completely.
will be.
But the change is there. Means restoration means the ultimate mature system would take many years to restore, but change you will see within a year. So the moment you have a just barren land, you protect it. You have certain soil moisture conservation physical activities like have burned and just
Some
pond and all
little
this
tweaks
kind of
here
thing.
and there.
And within a year, the grass species change. Inferior grass species get replaced with superior grass species. Just within next 2 years, you see shrubbery coming in. So probably forests would take many years,
Yeah.
which is a long-term thing. But change surely is there. What we wish to restore is not only canopy cover, but also biodiversity. The biodiversity just multifolds every year. If in the initial year you would not even see just very common bird which is bulbul on the land, and immediately within 2 years that the same bulbul along with 10 different birds start nesting in the grasses.
Yeah.
So that's restoration.
So let's break it down into the fundamentals, right? If someone wants to conserve a piece of land and restore it back to its formal glory, where do they start? Like, can we have some very small but crisp points that they can focus on, and what can they do?
Right. So first would be the stop all the human interventions. So
Okay,
that is
protect
first
it,
thing.
yeah.
Protect it by various means, that
Right.
whatever is available with that person. Second would be to restore the physical setting of the land. Now in that what comes would be the soil. So restore soil fertility. Second is moisture. So for plants, please, people should understand it's not water, it's the moisture that is important. So restoring moisture is second thing. Third is restoring the whatever water resources that land have. So if it is like there is aquifer or there is some stream, so like so both surface and subsurface and underground. All these water resources that must be understood and restored. So once this physical setting gets restored, then comes the next layer of biotic factors. So biotic factors means the biodiversity. So whatever the plants, the animals that are that were the original dwellings on the land. So how we can start calling them back. So the next would be restoring the maybe floral structure, the plants. So it comes through grasses, shrubs, climbers, trees. But remember to have diversity in that. So don't just go and plant just 100 bamboo trees, bamboo plants, or having just, so diversity is the key. So you need to have diversity in species, you need to have diversity in habits, like grasses, herbs, shrubs, climbers, trees. So all those layers must be in place. So that is the third thing, that you start restoring the biological diversity. So first is physical setting, second is biological setting. And once these two things are like pretty okay in terms of the health-wise stable, it's going on its own, then we say that, okay, now that land is on its path to restore. Then the constant should be protection. Then you can mix and match few things, like you have some cattle, so you extract some grasses from it sustainably. Don't overdo it. Don't go beyond the carrying capacity of that land. So you can do some mix and here and there few things, or you can start having some small dwelling there, anything. But if these three things are right, and if you are protecting it for more years, then that's the key.
Awesome.
So just add to this, means biotic communities, they restore on their own, but also plantation can be done. Means plantation of natives, again, needless to say. But that stage comes a little later, not in the first year.
Once the soil is ready.
Yeah.
And you have to irrigate and take care of it initially for some time.
Yeah, initially for
first
some
few years.
Once the deeper roots go in.
Yeah, 2-3 years. After 2-3 years, if you start doing plantation, your soil moisture already in the place.
Right.
So, and then you water the saplings for another 2-3 years, and the soil moisture is definitely enough to survive your bigger saplings.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's actually
awesome.
that's so easy, and so this is different from plantation. Means That's what people should remember.
Absolutely.
Many times people just do plantation and they call it restoration. But in restoration, all the life forms are important.
Right.
But in plantation, what happens? Only tree species
Those
or the
trees
shrub
are
is what
important.
becomes the focus.
I know.
So it's a beauty in restoration. You restore the diversity. You see also change in physical state of the soil. And then biotic community comes in. So
Amazing. We now have a beautiful framework for whoever wants to start from scratch or maybe at whatever stage they are in.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. One thing, Manasi and Ketaki, that's been striking me and that's always stricken me is your friendship. And somehow you guys are still smiling. After how old is Oikos now?
22.
22 years old, right? And how old is your friendship?
Same.
Is it
Same.
right? So 22 years of such close friendship.
Maybe 23 years. because
23 years,
we met at
when the course
Ecological
started, right?
Society.
And then you founded it afterwards. But this is very difficult for a lot of people to pull off, honestly. Like even in, we are husband and wife, Mrunmayee and me, and we also run Neel and Momo and we do this work. Similarly, you guys are best of friends and you've been doing it for 22 years. Is there some kind of principles or some set of rules that you follow that has somehow avoided conflict, that has allowed you to maintain a good friendship? Or is Oikos running on a certain set of values or principles? What is the secret? Like, how is this friendship flourishing along with a for-profit enterprise? Of course, with a very positive impact, but it's business, right? So how is this happening?
yeah, so there is no that way any secret. I mean, it's, if at all,
There is no calculated thing.
so yeah, so it's definitely Oikos has been working with certain values and principles,
Right.
and those values are also like very open, means that everyone would know.
Right.
Like, so those are absolutely core ecological principles that we don't wish to deviate from, all humanly principles that we don't wish to deviate. Means all these are very simple things. And then I think, as you said, we are friends first. You know, so maybe initially when we started working together, that time we had few other people as well. Then our third friend Mrunal was also with us for maybe initial 3 years. And then after that, we've been continuing. So, but I think it's the friendship and it's the understanding. And for us, because our work is for nature, and this is so, म्हणजे इतकी घट्ट आहे ही समज, that whatever we are doing is not for us. म्हणजे काय म्हणू, याच्यात स्वार्थ माणसाचं नाही आहे. So there is no ego from any of us. There is no one design that I wish to push or she wish to push. It's for the benefit of nature.
So nature defines whatever is there.
So that's why there is no clashes. Means there could be very simple, I don't know, if at all there are clashes, it could be just using whether to use this font in our brochure or that font. It's very trivial, you know. But on principles level, there has been
No deviation.
no deviation, no clashes.
And I think
at all.
what she said, the basic understanding that both of us have about I have some understanding about her, she has something about me, then there are few things that automatically match, or the wavelength is so
In tune.
in tune that we think alike.
I think it's high integrity.
So,
I think you hold yourself to such high standards of integrity and that you will not compromise on things.
Then it
That
happens.
decisions become very easy
Very
actually.
easy. I mean, means frankly, means we have never come to any such point where we had to debate certain things little too much. असं कधी झालंच नाही. And things are very
Touch wood,
simple, and
touch wood,
it has
but
been
yeah, I mean,
we are sitting on rocks.
very
It's
easy
rock
for
solid.
us, and
This is
also
rock
we
solid.
don't feel very high about it. म्हणजे this is a very simple thing, I feel. Even today, we had just decided that we should wear just kurtas today. That's it. That's the only thing we had decided. But it's so similar.
That
I
is
don't know.
amazing.
It's very strange. Our team keeps on feeling it. Sometimes
Yeah, both of us
Both of
land
us
up in
most
same
of the time
colors or
land
same
up-
patterns.
But of course,
So,
means there is also one simple thing that most of our wardrobes are like
same.
these colors only.
Why
So,
Earth palette is like those five
Exactly.
shades.
Yeah, 5
It's
shades.
filled with it.
Then
Nature
adding
shade.
to the like the things about Oikos, like we have certain ethics that we follow and that are ingrained in the team also. And secondly, we always feel ki whatever the profit of our enterprise is that's growing on land. It's not the profit of us. It's not the profit of business, but the profit is for nature.
for
it's
nature.
it's about nature. So whatever profit is there, we can see on land. So it's not in our bank balance. Because see, it's a social enterprise. So frankly, it's not high paying at all. So we don't operate on high profits. So the profit is of nature.
of nature, and it's quite simple. Actually, there is म्हणजे असं काही खूप भयंकर शेअर करण्यासारखं नाही आहे. And we always look at it in a very simple way. All of us at the office, including both of us, get paid equally. So there is no hierarchy that way.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so even if we define work and try to design, and then rest of them help us with surveys and all of the things. But I think simplicity is something that, and we don't wish to even talk about it many times. You asked this question, that's why probably
So,
for the first time
yeah,
you're talking
and-
about
and
it.
his
No, I don't want
Or
to
even-
jinx it, but I'm
no,
trying to.
even thinking about
No,
it.
actually,
trying
his
to-
question set me thinking, ki, what's that?
There
Like,
must have
we
come a
never-
time when you thought, ki, let's put some processes to the business. Let's things will move like this. This is how the design will happen. We hire people, whom to hire, how much to pay, which office to rent. Should we do this or not?
So
There are
it,
so
it
many
has evolved,
decisions,
and it has
right?
evolved so slowly,
And mutually, I guess.
mutually, that it never occurred to ourselves as well that we have taken this decision.
Conscious decision.
Yeah.
Wow.
So say for example, say technical thing could be evolving some kind of fee structure. It evolves so slowly and so obviously that, as I said, things never occurred to us
That is
this
beautiful.
is
Like
happening.
few
And this is what I
things-
think we're loving to keep it
Yeah.
that way only.
But
Instead of
few
making it very
processes we have set.
fuss about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So few processes we have set. Ki how to do surveys, how to do planning.
Yeah, of
So
course.
those things.
So that must have been a
it's a
That must have been a
practical thing
process.
that we are working
Like surely
on.
with that
Right.
Oikos, there are now very standard operating procedures for our surveys and how we, collate the things, how team works. So that is there. So probably at that time only me and Mansi were there. So
Yeah, earlier.
earlier, maybe initial 6
10
years, 10 years, yeah. We were just setting the things right and we were learning, but we thoroughly enjoyed the journey. Means many times people ask us, and I don't like that question, was that a struggle for you? And so it was never a struggle. No? It was so obvious, and it was a one, because we were learning. So there was one actually time that we were thinking that, are we really going to get projects? And are we really going to make some money?
correct.
Means even today we are not going to, like, it's not a very high profit kind of organization. But yes, some point was there. But we were loving our work so much, so even that time we had only one project, or say 2 projects in that particular year. We were thoroughly enjoying giving our best to that project.
Amazing.
Even we do that today, be it any project. We love that land, be it very barren, be it forested, be it anything. We love that. So I think that's the core principle at Oikos. Everyone loves the land. Everyone loves the work.
basically.
So it's
No
passion
one gets
driven
bored
basically.
of it. No one gets bored of this talking same thing. Probably even in this interview, we might have talked the repetitive things, but we never get bored because we are always excited with the people who want to know about these things, and we are always happy to share. Means what? Ultimately, our objective is to just spread this message of
2 millions
conservation.
maybe.
Yeah, and so
So
we are
hope that
enjoying that.
reaches
So
the-
again, underlying thought is because we are enjoying it, we are
So
spreading
people
it.
ask us about scaling also.
That's the more, exactly. I was going to
so
tell you,
so we have taken that a very conscious
Conscious
decision.
decision not to scale.
Not to scale too
means,
much.
Yeah.
because otherwise we will keep on just managing it. We won't get a chance to go on site and do work.
Enjoy it.
So both of us, we don't wish to do that. Keep keep aloof from the sites and just keep managing the teams and bringing projects and all those things. No, we wish to get connected to each and every site, each and every land, understand that, and then give the best maybe interventions or whatever plans that we have. So that's the one decision, okay, how much to scale and why to scale. So that is again.
Yeah, I think
one
scale is
thing.
the root of all evil. Let's stay away from it. No, but may the universe keep blessing you guys with this
Thank you.
joy.
It will.
Yes, yeah, that's the first thing I think.
Yeah.
And thank you for this beautiful, free-flowing, rich conversation. So may the universe keep shining on Oikos and you guys. Oikos means habitat, by the way.
Yeah.
This is
Oikos means all of us.
all of us. So it's a very beautiful word. I'll leave you with this question, okay? If I were to give you a billboard that was visible to the entire planet for a day, every single human being could read this. This is your message to the world. What would you write on it?
So
Go one by one. Go one by one.
So probably I would write, think of non-human beings.
Okay. 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 And you?
So for me, it could be the learning from our guru, Prakash Gole.
Okay.
So he had this sentence that have kept us on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like ki wildlife cannot have alternatives, but humans can have alternatives. So that connects to this sentence that think of
We have a choice.
non-humans. We have a choice.
They don't.
They
They don't have. So they need to continue with whatever they have. But we can have various alternatives. So if I don't plant this tree, I can plant another tree. That's the wisdom I have. But they are working just on the instinct. So that could be one
Amazing. What a beautiful way to end this. By the way, I have something for you. We run a small thing called Neil and Momo, where we make conscious products. There you go.
Thank
Wow.
you.
This is
Thank you.
from us to
Thank
you.
you.
It
So
has
cute.
some soaps that we make. It has some fragrance bars. It has some honey
Thank
that
you.
we've started harvesting, which is Karvi honey.
Wow.
And by the way, this episode is sponsored by Nature Care Fertilizers.
Okay.
I have been using Nature Care on my farm for 3 years. The results are amazing. It is basically Shenkhat, but with all the right bacterial and fungal cultures to get your soil going faster.
Okay.
So if I were to introduce wood chips and other things in my soil, mix it up, wet it and let it stay for 2 years, that result I get in 3 to 4 months. It's completely natural and I really, really like them. So they do biofertilizers, they do polyphosphates, they do a bunch of other biocontrol agents and stuff like that. But the ethics of the company are very similar to the ethics we share. And of course, they are very good friends also.
Wow.
So it's a message from them that if you ever need anything for life, they are happy to help.
Wow.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks so much. Thank you, everyone.
If you like that video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to click the bell icon so that you never miss the next episode of The Root Cause.